Welcome everyone. It's good to be back with all of you. I've been away for a while, traveling outside of Macau finally after almost 2.5 years. And the topic of this event couldn't be more opportune, I think. I mean, the idea, the need for dialogue with China is stronger than ever, I would think. During the time I've been traveling in Asia and the United States and Europe during the last 3 months, certainly clear that the perception about China has shifted somehow around the world, in some aspects, not in a very positive way. And at the core of all of this, I think, is a certain level of cultural insensitivity, inability to understand and to have dialogue between what normally are different cultures. And even today, they just published yesterday, I think, the results of the Times Higher Education rankings for universities. And one of the highlights of the rankings is exactly how the Chinese universities have been positioned, and it has been very noticeable that the indicators in regards to internationalization and international exposure have overall reduced in the Chinese universities. Chinese universities are still increasing their standing in the rankings, at a lower ratio than before, but the indicators that talk about international engagement have been reduced in about 5%. They used to be about 35, now around 30. And this is data that is in regards to 2019. So this is just before COVID hits. So the expectation is that in the coming years, once the data comes out reflecting the previous academic years, I think we're going to see this trend evolving in the same direction. So this is just my short 2 cents about this idea. Of course, the scope of the dialogue that we are discussing in this forum is much wider and in longer time frames. However, I think this is a discussion that is very much needed today, maybe more than it has ever been. So I would like to wish you all a very fruitful discussion, and I'm very happy to engage in this initiative once again, and thank you, Father Rothlin, for putting this together. And yes, so welcome, and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor Barbosa, for this warm and significant opening speech. We are deeply grateful to University of St. Joseph and also the Rector, Reverend Stephen Morgan, for the strong support. And Symposium means really the most important event of the Macau Ricci Institute at the University of St. Joseph, bringing together our, almost I said, big guns, no, really our most important colleagues, and certainly to pursue a dialogue with China is our core mission. So missionaries brought significant social innovation to China in their sharing of hard sciences and as mathematics, geometrics, astronomy, medicine, while a new door to the language and culture of China was open to the Western world. The missionary approach, however, was not a one-way road. While lay and religious missionaries shared their faith and knowledge of hard sciences, they learned in a process of reciprocity, Chinese shu. They learned from their host new skills, wisdom, and a host of alternative perspectives to look at and to deal with the world. bearing in mind that it is still very early to come up with a comprehensive analysis of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, it may be accurate to state that the completely different ways to cope with the pandemic, the rigorous zero policy of China mainland on one side, and the multiplicity of ever-changing regulations on the Western side, had rather deepened the level of mutual apprehensiveness and hostility. Moreover, also the stance regarding the ongoing war in Ukraine has perceived an even greater antagonism. However, these highly contentious issues may have prevent us to recognize significant process in terms of social innovation related to these principles of reciprocity. So, month of October marks also the renewal of the agreement between the Vatican and China. Many are opposed, they don't see the rationale. So during our symposium, we also want to critically evaluate what is behind to pursue this dialogue with China in the spirit of Matteo Ricci. In the context of increasing global conflicts and apparent inability to reach necessary compromises, also the project of the Belt and Road Initiative also needs to be redefined according to the principle of Confucian reciprocity. Along similar lines, also moral leadership with a focus on the key concept of the morally refined person, the Junzi, needs to highlight the dynamic nature of the concept of serving leadership based on reciprocity. You will realize that we have taken the second part of the title, Pandemic Disruption, quite seriously. There was a lot of disruption of our program. I've actually, all these years, never so much disruption. So let's take it with a bit of a sense of humor. So you will not be disappointed that the scheduled keynote speaker from Beida, from Peking University, now will appear, God willing, at the end of the symposium. Professor Zhou Shouqin is an outstanding linguist, so to share the insights on Confucianism in this time of disruption. But really, we feel very honored and happy that one of really considered the most renowned experts on Matteo Ricci of the dialogue with China, also of Chinese thought, is now opening our symposium. It's Thierry Menard, Mei Qian Li. He is full professor of philosophy at the Sun Yat-sen University. He wrote numerous books on this cultural dialogue with China, including the milestone of Confucius as Sinarum Philosophus, Confucius as the philosopher of the Chinese. And just most recently, he has published a book on Matteo Ricci, surprisingly in his own language, in French. So let's really warmly welcome Professor Thierry Menard among us, sharing your insights on Matteo Ricci, but also sharing a bit an assessment about the academic climate right now in mainland China. So, merci beaucoup. Over to you, Thierry.